This is a photo of the meeting between U.S. President Joe Biden and King Charles III at Windsor Castle on October 7, 2023. During Biden's visit to the UK, this was also the first time Biden met Charles after he ascended the throne. However, Biden's disrespectful behavior violated British royal protocol, not only making royal observers indignant, but also receiving fierce criticism from the British online community to find out whether it was really Biden's lack of standards or just the British people's oversensitivity. Let's review the close-up images recorded in the video of King Charles preparing a solemn welcoming ceremony at Windsor Castle. The royal guards lined up neatly, ready to wait for Biden's appearance. Then the U.S. President's Marine One appeared in the sky. The Royal Guard immediately played a welcoming song from the footage. Two Marine One helicopters could be seen heading towards Windsor Castle, the first one landing first on the lawn outside the castle. Although it was not possible to determine exactly which helicopter Biden was on, according to the U.S. President's travel habits, he would usually be on the second helicopter. Then the other helicopter would also fly over the castle before landing. This may seem normal at first glance, but for royal observers, this was a disrespectful act, because Windsor Castle is a symbol of the power and dignity of the British royal family. It is worth noting that in the history of British diplomacy, there has never been a precedent for a helicopter flying over a castle in such a way. What is more noteworthy here is that this was just Biden's prelude. His subsequent actions have caused royal protocol to be disregarded, making royal observers as well as the British online community extremely angry. In the next image, King Charles appeared to prepare to welcome the U.S. President. King Charles stepped out from inside Windsor Castle and walked towards the podium under the guidance of the staff in charge. Immediately after that, U.S. President Joe Biden's motorcade entered the castle grounds. From the recorded image, it can be seen that this time Biden did not use his Marine One helicopter, but sat on a U.S. Secret Service Chevrolet Suburban to enter the castle. When Biden's car arrived at the welcoming ceremony area, King Charles took the initiative to get off the podium and waited for Biden to leave the car, according to royal protocol. The king did not need to leave the podium, but because this was the first time he received a U.S. president after the coronation, he showed hospitality by humbling himself to welcome him. Although this action was not entirely in line with royal protocol, but after all, he is the king, so royal observers have nothing to complain about. However, when Biden got out of the car and shook hands with King Charles, he unconsciously used his left hand to hold the king's arm and patted him on the back. This is not Biden's habit. He forgot the rules of royal diplomacy. According to British royal protocol, outsiders are not allowed to touch them without the initiative of a royal family member. Therefore, Biden's consecutive actions completely went against royal protocol, making the British public and royal observers unhappy. Biden was criticized for disrespecting the king, causing royal observers to criticize him. The British people also expressed strong dissatisfaction. When stepping onto the podium, King Charles used a leaning motion and a right-hand gesture to remind Biden to his right. However, Biden seemed too happy to completely ignore the signal from the king and stood on his left side. Everyone knows that in diplomatic events, most countries consider the right position to be the most respectful position. So foreign leaders, when visiting, often stand on the right side of the host. But this unintentional action of Biden created an image of the guest encroaching on the host. For a veteran politician like Biden, making such a basic mistake is not something that should happen. But considering that he is over 80 years old, sometimes being a bit absent-minded is understandable. This time, Biden showed a lack of tact in diplomacy, giving the British public more reason to criticize Mr. Biden for seeming to be too careless. And during the review of the Royal Guard, a diplomatic incident that the British considered serious, occurred. From the recorded image, it can be seen that Biden and an official walked side by side in front, while King Charles, as head of state, was lagging behind the two people. Throughout the entire process, Biden turned his back to the king, not only showing disrespect, but also violating the taboo in British royal protocol. According to royal rules, Biden should have stood parallel to King Charles, with Biden as a guest standing on the inside and the king as the host standing on the outside. For some unknown reason, the other official stood in the position that should have belonged to King Charles, which made him unhappy. Through the recorded image, it can be seen that Charles's expression became very unpleasant. When the parade ended, King Charles finally overcame this awkward moment. When he signaled Biden to return to the podium, Biden seemed to be too happy and ignored the reminder, continuing to chat happily with the accompanying official. At this time, King Charles could only stare coldly at the other official, not knowing if he could feel the discomfort from the king's gaze or not. Then Biden and Charles finally walked side by side to return to the podium. But at that moment, Biden once again put his hand on King Charles's back, although during the welcoming ceremony, Biden had repeatedly violated royal protocol. But according to some sources, King Charles did not care. He also declared that this showed the good and warm friendship between the two people as well as the two countries. However, when compared with a past event, at the time when former U.S. President Donald Trump visited the UK, he accidentally touched Queen Elizabeth II's back and was heavily criticized by the British media, even considered rude. With these two completely opposite attitudes, I wonder what Trump will think. Is royal protocol discriminatory between U.S. presidents? Thank you for watching the video. Please share and subscribe to the channel. Goodbye, and see you again.